Well, I've said from day one that there's absolutely zero consistency when it comes to MAGA. And I've said if you're looking for consistency with them, don't ever hold your breath, because whenever they come out and talk about the issues that matter the most to them, if Trump goes the opposite way, they will roll right along with him and find a way to make excuses for him. Now, going into this election, I heard so many people in MAGA say that one of the biggest issues to them was transgenders. And transgenders in sports, oh, they shouldn't be allowed to compete against our daughters. And oh, they shouldn't be allowed to go to the bathroom with our little girls. And we just heard that constantly. That has been one of their biggest arguments for the last 4 years. It's been longer than that. But especially the last couple of years, they've just amped it up louder and louder and louder. So you would think that if someone went to Mar-a-Lago and they were transgender, that Trump would make sure they used the right bathroom. You would think that, wouldn't you? Well, again, don't look for consistency with MAGA, because we're going to go to the story here from MidasNews.com. This was by J.D. Wolf. So apparently when Caitlyn Jenner goes to Mar-a-Lago, she's allowed to use whichever bathroom she wants, and there's really not a fuss kicked up about it at all. So let's take a look at this article. So a recent tweet by Caitlyn Jenner highlights a significant hypocrisy within the MAGA movement regarding bathroom access for trans women. Responding to a tweet questioning whether she, Elon Musk, and Donald Trump shared a bathroom together at Mar-a-Lago, Jenner firmly stated, "We do not," making it clear that trans women are not forced to use men's bathrooms at Trump's private estate. This comment underscores a glaring contradiction in the policies and rhetoric being pushed by GOP lawmakers like Nancy Mace of South Carolina. Now, you can see this post right here that Patriot Takes posted this picture here. Trump and his granddaughter hanging out with Caitlyn Jenner and Elon Musk. Funny how trans people become okay when they are at Mar-a-Lago. And then someone here, Brad Bose, says, "I wonder if Caitlyn, Elon, and Donald all use the bathroom together. Shocked the MAGA cult isn't melting down about this," to which Caitlyn Jenner replied and said, "We do not." Mace, who has been long a vocal advocate of restricting bathroom access to trans women, is currently pushing legislation aimed at banning trans women from using women's restrooms in schools, public spaces, and even private institutions. Her bill, if passed, would force businesses and organizations, including Trump's Mar-a-Lago, to compel trans women like Jenner, Trump surrogate Sophia Hutchins, and others to use men's bathrooms, even in settings where they are publicly recognized as women. The contrast between Mace's position and Trump's behavior is stark. At Mar-a-Lago, a high-profile gathering for Trump allies, Jenner has openly socialized with Trump and Musk without encountering any bathroom-related controversies. Yet Mace and other conservatives continue to champion policies that would strip trans women of their rights and force them into uncomfortable and potentially dangerous situations by mandating they use facilities that don't align with their gender identity. So again, this is just blatant hypocrisy, and I really hate doing whataboutisms, but I think this one's fair. If Joe Biden were to, let's say Joe Biden had Mar-a-Lago, and we saw a trans woman hanging out with Joe Biden and Obama, can you imagine how the right wing's head would just absolutely explode? But when it's Trump, it's okay. And hypocrisy is one of my biggest pet peeves. It's really why that I sat down and started doing content like this to begin with. I have always had a problem with people telling us to live a certain way and then they don't live that way. That's one of the reasons why I quit going to church a long time ago, is because I'm not going to sit there and listen to some guy who has a ton of skeletons in his closet sit and criticize me and tell me I'm going to face eternal damnation for doing things that he probably himself hasn't stopped doing. That's always been one of the reasons that I don't hang around those kind of people. I don't like people that tries to guilt trip people and shame people for doing things that they themselves do. And this has been one of the biggest arguments and one of the biggest culture wars that we've fought is the bathroom. And oh my God, they're using the bathroom with our little girls. Well, when they go to Mar-a-Lago, they're allowed to walk right in the women's bathroom. They're allowed to hang out with Trump, and I'm sure he treats Caitlyn Jenner great. I'm sure they get along great. And can't anyone see through the hypocrisy of that? Can't anyone in MAGA say, hey, that's a little bit hypocritical? Why are they not upset about it? You know why they're not upset about it? Because they live vicariously through Trump. And if they were to ever criticize Donald Trump and call him out for something, then they would have to admit that the arguments they've been making against us this entire time, they would have to admit those arguments were wrong. And they can never face that type of self-reflection. We've had to face a lot of it since this election. We've all been sitting and rethinking things and thinking about how we're going to go about making content. I am friends with so many other content creators. I'm part of the Midas Touch Network. We've all said and talked about, okay, how do we move forward? How do we learn from this? And how do we move forward? MAGA does never have that conversation. They didn't have it in 2020. They spent the last 4 years screaming that election was rigged. And even though they've won this election, they're still not reflecting. They won't even reflect on a win. They won't even stop and reflect on a win. They continue to have to sit there and flex and be as hateful as they possibly can be. Now, you would think that this story of Caitlyn Jenner using the bathroom at Mar-a-Lago, it would infuriate them if Caitlyn Jenner was a Biden or Harris supporter and was in the same picture with Biden and Harris. They would absolutely despise Caitlyn Jenner and would be pushing for more violence because that's the type of people they are. It's so over the top hypocritical. If they truly cared about these issues, they would call it all out. I sat for the longest time having argument after argument with all the ones that wanted to come at me about the drag queens. Oh, the drag queens are reading books to little kids. What are we going to do? They're grooming our children. And anytime I pointed out all the Catholic priests and all the pastors and all the youth ministers that have been busted out across this country, they would go silent. I wouldn't hear from them for a few days. They didn't want to bring that up. They didn't want to talk about it when it was someone to do with them guilty of it. But this is the type of people that we're going to be up against for a long time, unfortunately. They're not going away. They feel more empowered now than ever. And they don't care about consistency. They don't. Because it's all about owning the libs. And even us pointing these things out is things that will cause them to flex even harder. Because they think that because it got under our skin that we got owned, when in reality, they're the ones that are owned. Donald Trump purchased them and he bought them right out. He bought them by feeding into their fears. He bought them by feeding into their paranoia and their hate and their rage and their distrust of everything. He absolutely played these people. And so, no, you're never going to find consistency. You're never going to find a voice of reason over there. You're not going to find any logic. You sure as hell ain't ever going to hear them listen to anything factual because they live in an alternate reality. And I hate to be that blunt, but I saw this story and I went, of course they're okay with this. I'm not at all shocked. But I truly appreciate all of you for being here with me on the channel. And as long as I have a platform, I will keep calling out the hypocrisy. I want to let everyone know that I will be doing a Patreon show at 8 p.m. Eastern today. Now, this video is being made on Friday, November 29th, Black Friday. So I will be doing a show on Patreon tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. The link's in the description of this video. You don't have to be a patron to be there. It's a free show to the public. So we'll be doing that. We've also got new merch in the merch store. We got a new merch store too. We now are on Teespring and Fourth Wall. And in both stores this weekend, Friday through Monday, through Cyber Monday, we're running 20% off when you enter the promo code THANKFUL. So be sure to check all that stuff out, and I appreciate you guys so much. We're going to have some fun playing some music. We're going to get away from all the politics, but I'm sure that at some point I will be singing a song about just how hypocritical that MAGA truly is, and they really are when it comes to this issue. It's the one issue they love to flex the hardest on, and it's the one issue that they're the most hypocritical about.